Questo lo faccio giusto per aspettare Niki. No, è 23 adesso, quindi dammi il numero risetto. Sette impostazioni. Di te. Come ne mettere su qualcuno? Dovrebbe essere tutto pronto per la prossima volta che carichi il gioco. Ok. Eh, un attimo, giusto una cosa. Che palle, perché la pubblicità? Basta. Oh, se non ti ricaricare ci sarà il motivo. Grazie. Mamma mia.
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
Vabbè, è sempre il solito. Aspetta. Un attimo, Due secondi per capire un po'. Sì, ma come cazzo ci è arrivato? Vabbè, sti cazzi.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the
Capito.
meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Aspetta, sto arrivando. Ok, eccomi qua. Che musica? C'era la musica a inizio gioco?
Where are we going today? The bucket asked. Stanley just smiled. Anywhere they went together would be perfect. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest.
Non ho
This was
pigliato
not the
l'ultimo.
correct way to the meeting room.
Come si chiama
Stanley
l'ultimo?
had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No.
Non ho pigliato l'ultima statuetta in Stanley.
Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift.
C'è lì, comunque la statuetta sta lì.
And there it is. The last Stiggly Wiggly. Savor this moment, Stanley. This is a real accomplishment. This is doing something just for the sake of doing it. Where so many people expect to be rewarded for the
beh,
most
sì,
trivial
giusto.
achievements, you've insisted that a job well done is its own reward. I would tell you that I'm proud of you for collecting them all, but that would be like a reward, and we can't have that. So, instead I'll just say, it's done. We're all done here. And now we can go to whatever the hell you were doing before you hunted for figurines.
Ok, ma se tipo in questi sotto mi sa che muoio, no? Perché lì è aperto. Ma sì, no, credo di dover morire se mi tuffo. Quindi andiamo a via questa via. Oh, caricamento. Non che ho scoperto. Stanza chiusa, andiamo avanti. Beh. Che stiamo prendendo, non so CD. Ah, boh, è possibile. L'ho visto pure io, ma non saprei, magari era lui. Tipo come doveva essere nella realtà, una cosa così. Che ho fatto? Ah, ok, ma sì.
This is day number 295. Tape number... I don't even know. I've lost track. Nothing feels real anymore. The longer I study this bucket, the less sense anything makes. The sheer euphoria I feel every time I pick it up. No matter how many times I've done it, it's always the same feeling. And the emptiness in my chest when I set it down. It doesn't make sense. There's no explanation for it. Still haven't figured out why I see the world so differently when this bucket is in my arms. Why everything feels so... What do I do with this treasure? I can monetize it. Yes. It's unthinkable the amounts of money people will pay for even just an hour with the bucket.
Beh, sì.
This is my golden ticket. But I have to be careful, because as soon as this gets out, there's going to be a target on my back. Even now, I don't know who might be trying to get... What's that? Who's there?
Non ha fatto una buona fine, mi sa. Ma è che sono morto anch'io? Tipo visto che c'aveva anche il secchio là in quel momento, magari. Ho fatto fare la stessa fine. Oh, stavolta non ci sono più i padroncini, neanche il secchio.
Stanley, I'm
Ma che
sorry,
cazzo?
but I have to put a pause on things. It's those figurines, those figures. I haven't stopped thinking about them since you nabbed every last one. Wasn't it just the most intrinsically fulfilling moment of your entire life? Didn't it fill you to the brim with inner richness? Yes, I know we're supposed to be telling a story, but won't you please indulge me with one more trip back to the memory zone? I would love nothing more than to revisit the figurines. Just one more time.
Ah, perché ho preso... vai... Almeno c'ho un ricordo di quando trovo tutte le statuine. Andiamo un po' a vedere. Mi piace questo paesaggio, magari abitare così. Senza nessuno che rompi i coglioni. Di sotto? Che è là sopra? Ah, ok, vabbè. Video su YouTube. No, io però me sono 22. Allora che cazzo mi chiedono l'orario? È giusto qui, bloccato, quindi no, per forza di sotto.
Here's where it all began. The first collectible. Back then we had no idea of how many of them we'd find. Sure, it said 6 right there on the screen, but how could we know for certain? We were so innocent. We'll never be like that again, Stanley.
Oh, 7 su 6, ce ne sono altri. Questo, vabbè, il primo dietro la cosa.
And here was the second Stanley.
Vabbè, in ordine di quello che ho trovato.
All on your own, just by poking around behind the boss's office. You did that, Stanley. I'll be honest. Back then I had no faith in you to find any of them, let alone 6. but you continue to surprise me in all sorts of mundane, unremarkable ways. Okay, let's do a little quiz. Which of these rooms was the room you found your third mini stand? Can you remember?
Ho trovato, mi sa, prima quella sotto le scale. Non mi ricordo, perché il boss mi sembra di averlo visto. Mentre le scale, oh cazzo, mi ricordo. Non ricordo proprio. Forse le scale poi sono risalito?
Hey, that's exactly right. It was here, under the stairs. It was the third one. You picked it up, and then after that, you had 3 of them. I'm glad these moments are so crystal clear in your memory, but I shouldn't be surprised. After all, science tells us that it's impossible to forget your third time doing anything. Let's see, what came next? Oh yes, we found a figure in this pink room. Oh well, I can't actually say I remember being in this room, but it's here in the memory zone, so it must have happened.
Si dice che era qui, sarà qui. Manca di che abbiamo visto sta stanza. Lo fa aprire. Allora non tra le porte.
This was the 5th mini stand, and this one was really something special.
La porta
It
blu.
was by the red and blue doors. I remember it so clearly. In fact, because this one is particularly special to me, I made a little video to commemorate the occasion. Enjoy.
Grafica pazzesca. Mi rimane ancora quello del cesso da trovare, da prendere.
Takes you back, doesn't it? I spent a lot of time making that video, but it was 8 minutes I wouldn't have spent on anything else.
Mamma mia. Cos'è che ha detto? No, non ho detto l'ultima parte, poi mi sono perso le porte. Andiamo... Ah, vabbè, ok, una collega l'altra. Sono sul vuoto, va bene.
And then, Stanley, then we came to the last collectible, the final figurine, right here in the warehouse. This memory is the most distinct and clear in my mind, perhaps because it was the one that happened more recently than all the others. Who can truly say how the mind works? All I know is that this is the moment where you picked up a Figley and I thought to myself, yes, that's all of them. They're all correct.
Mi manca quello del
It was
cesso.
a moment unlike any other. Except for the other moments picking up figurines, which it was exactly like.
Andiamo a vedere. Sono nel presente.
And then there was no more. Because we've caught up to the present moment. Nothing left to do but move onward into the future. Goodbye, memory zone.
Beh, dai.
No, I'm not done. I'm not ready to move on. Stop the loading screen. Isn't there some way we can stay here, keep enjoying these figurines? Let's just go backwards. We'll do the memory zone again from the opposite direction. See how that feels. Okay, yes, this spot in the warehouse. I remember this. I must say, of all the figurines we looked at in our initial tour of the memory zone, this one is the most distinct and clear in my mind. Let's keep going, I want more.
Mo fa ancora tutto quanto e c'è qualcos'altro. Stavolta usciamo dalla poltrona rossa.
And here's where I made that video. Don't you remember the video we watched?
No, ok.
Yes, I love that video.
Pure io.
Still don't remember the pink room, Stanley. Still no memory of this one. Good room, though. A solid room.
Scendiamo le
These really
scale.
were a treat to hunt down. You know, if there had been any kind of reward for finding all of these, it really would have muted the intrinsic joy of collecting them. I'm very glad we resisted the temptation. Next one.
Se io andassi di qua nel cesso, no? Che succede? Ok, no, porta sbarrata, diciamo.
This was our second Figley. Don't you remember? Yes, I remember it too. The past is truly a wonderful thing. Why does anyone ever choose to leave it? Keep going.
Il primo stava qui.
This is it. The very first one we found in the exhibit where I introduced you to the Figler.
Speriamo di fare tutto quanto al
I want
contrario.
more memories, Stanley. I want to keep going. What else is there? What came before this?
Beh, che tristezza. I salti.
Look, it's the terrible new content that we were originally sold on. I remember hating it back then. The time does
Sì, trofeo perché non posso più saltare, me lo ricordo. L'avevo letto.
I'm actually quite fond of it now. Look how much fun the past is. I want more memories.
Fammi saltare allora. Ciò che è l'unico punto in cui puoi saltarti, ne hanno diversi.
Oh yes, the two doors. Who could have forgotten that? A classic.
Quella di sinistra. Cioè che sono uno uguale all'altro, come sempre. E
And
me la
before
porto.
everything else, there was your office. Is there anything else? Was there something that came before your office? There's something I feel I can remember. I can remember.
Il video iniziale.
Yes, I'm remembering something now. I remember before this whole story got started. Back then I was different. I used to make big decisions. I was passionate. I was skeptical. I weighed each decision with profound thoughtfulness. And then somewhere along the way I stopped making decisions. I became lazy, and I came up with a character named Stanley to do my thinking for me. He would make the decisions, he would decide which way to go. I would cheer him on as he collected figurines for no reason. Why did I invent Stanley? Was I lonely? Yes, perhaps that's it. Perhaps I needed to imagine I had companionship. And Stanley really did make for a wonderful companion, even if he was a fiction. But I suppose it's grown old. I want to think for myself again. I want to go back to how it used to be. Yes, I can be on my own again. I can do it. I'll be stronger this time. I'll take care of myself. I don't need Stanley anymore. Oh, but he truly was so much fun to play with. You know what? Since we're in the memory zone, how about one more good memory? Let's go back just once and give Stanley one more run of the office, and then I'll retire him for good. I enjoy telling this story so very much. Okay, here we go. This is the story of a man named Stanley.
Miglior finale con tutti i video, PowerPoint. Eccolo qui, sono tornati i palloncini.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Qui non c'era il cartellino con... Non so se pigliarlo o meno, eh? Lo sai? Le stanze vicine prima non c'erano. Questo c'era, questo sicuro c'era, me lo ricordo. Lo pigliamo o non lo pigliamo? Non lo pigliamo. Però mi si chiude la porta, per quale
When
motivo?
Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Proviamo. Vedremo c'è qualcosa di nuovo qui nell'ufficio.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there. Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Chissà se si sbloccheranno quelle strade. Devo potermi specchiare, una cosa così.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming New Age music. Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
Non c'è caricamento. Devo mettermi un cadavere nuovo così a caso. Un compagno stordito, tanto non posso svegliare. Piccole cose. Piccole.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long. Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Rifacciamolo.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Beh.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or
Devo provare a
content,
premere tutti i
walking,
pulsanti ora.
eating, working, all of it
Dall'1 al
monitored and
5.
commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in,
1.
Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
No, porta sbarrata, quindi niente.
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible...
Pensavo facesse qualche altro finale, lui visto che mi ha detto di fare...
and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door. Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his
Niente,
skin.
era un normale
The feeling
finale.
of liberation.
Se ricominciato da
The
capo, quindi ho
immense
provato a
possibility of
rifarlo.
the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Quindi no. Adesso provo ad andare nel magazzino e a buttarmi di sotto, vedere un po' se per qualche motivo sopravvivo e uscire dalla porta B che era aperta.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a good bucket, a strong bucket, a humble bucket, a committed bucket, a bucket of culture and distinction. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the
Sono
bucket
flashato qualcosa.
telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door.
Forse rimango in quella stanza, comunque mi succede qualcosa. Così ho sta sensazione.
No,
said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift.
Tipo... magari di schiattarci, quindi no.
Good,
Said the bucket.
now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It
Prenderla
should have
sopra
alarmed him, of
possibile,
course,
su
because
quella
buckets
passerella.
can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
In here,
said the bucket.
go into this dark room over here.
Stanley once again obeyed blindly.
Mi ricordo anche che c'era qua dentro.
Now pick up the phone.
Cos'era il telefono? Il ricordo? Sorry, no, che così ricomincio. Questa era un'altra cosa.
This is the sad story of a man named Stanley and his bucket. Once upon a time, I gave Stanley a bucket because I thought he was lonely and could use a friend. And then, very distressingly, he began to believe the bucket could speak to him.
Già, mi sa che ricomincio. Ho già fatto questa cosa. Lo so che mi rimane. Cioè, come trofei non si capiscono. Devi vedermi su internet. Poi non è che siano chissà quanto difficili alla fine, secondo me. Tipo, perché c'è il pulsante rosso?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Ci sia
Stanley decided to
qualcos'altro
go
da
to the
fare.
meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Ah, the embrace of an old friend, a weathered companionship that stands the test of time. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his... This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it truly was. How insightful the bucket turned out to be.
Today is it... Don't place. Si wish.
Truly, being here with the bucket was a grand adventure. Stanley reflected on all they'd been through together. First, walking through the door on the right, then walking to the lounge, then arriving at the lounge. What a thrilling journey the bucket had inspired.
Fammi fare qualcosa adesso. Tipo che io
Perhaps this was where the bucket felt most truly at home. Here in the employee lounge. Perhaps it's the only place a bucket can even feel at home.
Fammi fare qualcosa.
Stanley decided to just give the bucket absolutely as much time as it needed to be in the lounge. But finally, the bucket was done being in the lounge, and they took the first open door on their left to get back to business.
No,
said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes.
Serve una carta, non si può avere.
Cargo lift.
Così vedo un attimo su internet se posso prendere la carta magnetica.
Good,
said the bucket.
now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not
Anche lì
question
ne
why
serve
or
uno.
how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked. No, stop. Look there on the wall. You see, there's a sign right there. It says, no buckets past this point.
Mi già
Stanley,
fatto.
how could you think it was okay to bring the bucket here? Unless, what if the problem is that you actually don't know what is a bucket and what isn't a bucket?
No, lo voglio rifare. E mi abbiamo fatto tutto, che serve? Quindi dimmi te, cosa posso provare a fare? Anzi, adesso provo a vedere se si può avere la carta magnetica. Vediamo un po'. Vediamo un po', qui dice che c'è un super segreto. Sì, vabbè, quanto cazzo è lungo.
Stanley had never seen the office this brightly lit. Was it a sign of something? He hoped it was. He hoped very much that it was.
Vediamo un po'. Devo andare nella sala, quella lì dove sono stato adesso.
When Stanley came to a set of two open... This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Standing now in this incredible room, Stanley for the first but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Questa è una presa per il culo. Ma una grandissima presa per il culo. Però vediamo. C'è talmente...
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Dio, quello che ha fatto lui è... fare così.
Oh, well, look who's got cold feet. Sorry to break it to you, Stanley, but that lift isn't coming back. You'd best either get comfortable right here on this platform, or test your luck by jumping to the floor below. You know what? Looking at it now, it's not that far to the bottom floor. I bet you can make it.
Poi... probabilmente vado la stessa strada. Tanto è palese una presa per il culo. Tipo tuffato su questi scatoloni qua.
Whoops. Looks like I was wrong. How clumsy of me.
Beh. Beh, aspetta, questa è una stanza che non ho mai visto. Io non credo, mi ricordo quel legno. Quindi sì, forse vediamo un po', una parte l'ho fatta. Diciamo. Anche così per farlo vedere.
A soft wind blew outside and perhaps rain started. And if it did, it stopped shortly after. Stanley hoped that he would one day see weather.
Jump on the... waiting input. Questo? Non credo. Ah, aspetta. Decide di andare nella stanza del boss e fai premere diverse volte 8.
He entered the door on his left.
Mettiamo in pausa.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an
C'è una
answer
zanzara qui che
there.
rompe
Coming
i
to a
coglioni.
staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Oh, ok, era questa. Credevo ci fosse un'altra porta. E ci
Okay, I
premere
think we all
diverse
know the
volte
drill by
8.
now. Blah, blah, blah. Dark secrets, the keypad. Stanley pushes some buttons. Oh, hey, look, it's a new passageway. Quelle surprise.
Ecco, ho detto. Ah, eccolo perché era per il trofeo. E un attimo torno sul video. Porca puttana. No, dai, intendo. Ah, ok, comunque grazie per quello, mamma mia. È stato proprio terribile. Infatti mo giocherò tanto con un dito. Te le sei sporco. Poi per essere asciuti.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Devo premere quello viola, Ricordiamoci quello viola.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Non c'è la cosa dell'impulse e è illuminata una cosa viola, quindi credo sia...
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire
Quello
life
viola,
utterly blind to the world?
Il pulsante viola.
The heart
Questo
of the
qui.
operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place.
Non
And as
sentiva
the cold
niente.
reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Però questi qui non funzionano. Sono 5 da premere, credo siano questi qui, non so qual è l'ordine, il primo è sicuramente viola. Dobbiamo fare così. No. Dobbiamo fare... Dobbiamo fare... Da qui finché non devi staccare. Però non mi dà neanche il pulsante, ma adesso. Chissà qual è il colore da fare. La sequenza. Guarda è questo. Dico che appena so i colori da premere, li premo e magari mi si apre quella porta. Una cosa così. Per anche provare a farlo offline. Tanto che mi sa che abbiamo fatto tutto quanto.
And when at last he found the source... Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control? Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA
0521
nuclear detonators
Forza password
will
PA.
explode, eliminating the entire complex. How
Dio.
long until detonation then?
Tipo se ce l'ho 0.
Let's say 2 minutes. Ah, now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going, what all this means. I barely know where to
Activate
start.
button hint uguale green.
You'd like to know where your co-workers are. A moment of solace before you're obliterated. All right, I'm in a good
Verde
mood.
2.
You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them.
Proviamo a fare
I
qualcosa.
erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp.
Aspetta.
To say this,
Uno
this
rosso.
version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better.
Cazzo
My
dici?
goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much.
Ma nel senso che ci sono dei numeri?
The hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on
Tipo-
the clock, why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees.
Vediamo se c'è un 5
What's the matter,
verde.
Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off?
C'è un 5 verde da qualche
Running
parte?
from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button, or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is?
Aspetta, prima.
Stanley, you're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking
Chissà
away
quel
to
cazzo è.
death. You're only
Este
still
primo-
playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to
po'
watch
tipo
you
rosso.
for every moment that you're powerless. To see you made humble.
C'è qualcosa da fare in questa stanza ma non so qual è.
It's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't. Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here, just you being blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life, or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice. Make it count, or don't. It's all the same to me, all a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say happily ever after.
Dico, c'è qualcosa da fare lì. Non so cosa esattamente, ma c'è qualcosa. Che vorrei poter aprire quella porta, forse. per annullare l'autodistruzione, non lo so. Comunque la chiudiamo qui. E abbiamo finito questo gioco, perché non so quali altri finali ci possono aspettare. Guardate tutto, che ci manca. Mo faccio giusto una corsetta tipo qui, quindi aspetta.
Stanley decided to go to the
Tipo
meeting
altri
room.
computer.
Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Ah, devo premere 2 volte il viola? Ci sono altri computer avanti? Forse nella stanza del boss?
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he
Puoi anche
entered the
staccare,
door on
qui vedo
his left.
soltanto se c'è una combinazione, se continuano a dirmi viola. Così.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling
No.
a wave of disbelief,
Vabbè dai,
Stanley
stacchiamo
decided to
qui.
go up to his boss's office, hoping he might oh no, 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 not again. I won't be part of this. I'm not going to encourage you. I'm not going to say anything at all. I'm just going to be patient and wait for you to finish whatever it is you enjoy doing so much in this room. Please take your time. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Ha già fatto tutto quanto prima?
Here's the door, just go.
Vabbè, allora direi che per adesso basta. E vabbè. Boh, spero che domani torni Ghost. Perché diciamo più di tanto. Cioè fare sempre di fila no. E che altro? Diciamo che vorrei provare a comprare quell'altro gioco, ma come sicuro non lo vado a pigliare. Quindi sì, basta, tutto qui. Se domani torna a Ghost tanto meglio, almeno un po' di, diciamo, relax ce l'ho. Comunque notte.